My name is Katie Kozlowski, and I am 44 years old. We're going to be talking about my story, what happened to me when I was a young girl, how that shaped me and molded me, and how I came out the other side. When I got into high school, of course, girls can be mean and boys can be challenging, and that's when a lot of this sort of tough stuff started to come into my life, and I ended up with some sexual assault. I had a lot of bullying from the girls, and I had like tough stuff with my friends, and that's when I started to get very confused, very sad, very depressed, and I started to really struggle. The day my life changed, I don't remember the exact day, but I know it was holiday break because a very popular boy, the senior boy, captain of the baseball team, VIP sort of status type guy, said he was going to take me to lunch. I was super excited. I thought, oh my gosh, this boy likes me, and like, wow, I'm going to go on this lunch. And I got all dressed up and we went to go to lunch. And of course, the first thing I noticed was we weren't going to the restaurant, right? I was in his car. We pulled up at a house and I said, well, what about lunch? Oh, we have to stop here first. So-and-so's on vacation and we have to feed her cat, and I'm naive and innocent. I trust this guy. And I'm like, well, okay. So, we go inside, and then honestly, I don't remember the ins and outs of all the different pieces of it, but I just remember that next thing I know, for some reason, he must have said something. I can't remember. He must have said something like, we need to find the cat, and the cat's in the attic. That was the part of it that was really traumatizing for me. Was somehow I ended up trapped in an attic with this, high school boy putting his hands all over me, and I was a virgin. I was very innocent. I was also very developed. I was like, voluptuous and curvy and beautiful. I didn't know anything about sex. And it was just this really scary experience because then I was kind of backed in a corner and I couldn't get out. I remember somehow finding the courage to say no when he tried to go for my underpants. And he said gross things about that too. I remember him saying oh, did Santa give you these? And I was like, no, my mom gave them to me. I just remember being terrified, totally creeped out, feeling trapped, not knowing what to do, and then managing to get out without anything really bad happening. But of course, he said, if you tell anybody, I'll tell everybody that you're this blah, 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 and all the girls. And so, of course, after that, I went home. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I remember I said, how was your lunch, right? How was it? And I'm like, it was good. It was okay. And then just living with that, the thing that was so hard about it was it's not the experience of it was traumatizing in itself. I just couldn't understand why somebody would do something like that to somebody. I didn't do anything to him, right? There was no reason for him to treat me like that. And I had this really sweet, innocent heart. And I was just trying to figure out, well, why would he do that? He said he liked me. He said he liked me. He said he liked me. I just kept saying it over and over and over. I couldn't wrap my mind around how something like that could happen to me. And I think I spent the next 20 years of my life living in that trauma of going, why would someone do that to me? How could that happen? And that stayed with me for, oh my gosh, so much of my life, because it was so hard to understand, one, how someone could treat somebody like that. Two, what did I do to deserve this? I think most importantly, why didn't he actually think that I was worthy of being his girlfriend or whatever, right? It's high school, right? I'm only 14, 15 years old. It seems like in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big a deal. And this is what I told myself, hey, nothing really bad happened. It's not that big a deal. But you know what? It is a big deal because it changed the way I felt about myself, right? It destroyed my self-esteem. That's a big deal. So the way it played out, it's interesting because I never really wanted to play the I didn't want to be that person that was like, well, whatever, I'll just go and sleep with all these guys. I just wanted to please every man in my life. It did also affect my self-esteem, sexuality wise. I didn't have sex, right? I did not have sex with anybody until I was out of college, actually. And yet at the same time, I would get drunk and then I would end up in these terrible situations where guys would be putting their hands all over me and then I would be traumatized. But I never had sex, and it was like this, I was trapped in this cycle of trying to sort of work out what had happened and also understand who I was, my value, my worth, because I looked the way I looked, meaning, blonde hair, big boobs, I had that sexy, voluptuous look. It was hard for me because all the girls were just like, well, you're a right? You look like a you may as well be a that's what you're going to be for your entire life. You should just become a professional porn star because that's all you're worth, because that's what you look like. And I think that that was part of my sort of, I struggled so much. I really, really, really struggled with my body. I developed an eating disorder. You know, people, my mother would say I didn't really have an eating disorder, but listen, when you go on a 0 grams of fat diet and you run on the treadmill for 4 hours a day and you almost drop dead because you're addicted to diet pills, I would call that an eating disorder, right? Like, I would say you don't have a healthy relationship with your body and food. I had that going on. I was like driven to succeed like no other. I became, you know, even more driven to become the A++ student. I had perfect grades. I was still starring in all the shows. I was just like doing all the things. Like, I became super driven to succeed. But the interesting thing was I never really felt successful. Like, I actually think even to this day, if I take a step back and I look at like what's one of the things that's been really hard for me, I still struggle with my self-esteem. Even though I'm successful, I've done so much, I still struggle with my self-esteem, my self-worth, and my value, because it goes back to this question of like, who am I, right? What am I here? What do I offer the world? And going back to that sort of feeling of you're nothing more than just this, like, you know, sex object. Boys are going to fuck you, right? But they're never going to marry you. You're not the type of person people love. You're the other woman. You're the one that, you know, men cheat on their wives with, but you're not like wife material. You're not this. It was a lot of that type of stuff, but very subtle. When I think back to high school, there were times that I struggled emotionally in ways that nobody knew, right? I was very good at masking it. I was very good at covering it all up and just being successful and smiling. And, you know, remember, I'm from Connecticut, Stepford Wives. There's a reason why I say I'm from Connecticut, because I am from the land of where they wrote that movie, the story of the perfect woman who's got everything together and there's nothing wrong with her. When I got to college, it was interesting because I thought I was going to be able to get away from it, right? I thought, okay, I'm going to go. And again, I went to school for musical theater. I went to Ithaca College and I got there and I wanted to, I still had the drive to succeed, right? I wanted to be the best. One of the first things that happened was I got there and they were doing this, like, you cannot make this stuff up, right? It followed me everywhere in the subtlest ways. And so I got to college. One of the first seasons, I get cast as a freshman. I'm so proud of myself. Turns out I got cast as the role of Peace in Lysistrata. Now, Lysistrata is a play about women withholding sex from men to end a war. And so, of course, the play is about sex. I'm highly traumatized. I haven't had sex. I won't say the word. I will only call it a panus. I couldn't say the word because of what had happened. And so I get cast as Peace. And so what happens? Well, guess what? My role is, originally they want me to be naked. So they want me to stand on stage naked, right? And just have all these people look at me. And they change it to, oh no, we're going to have you in lingerie. When that happens, a bunch of girls come in and they start bullying me and they start saying the same stuff that I heard in high school, which is like, the only reason why you got cast is because, you know, the director wants to you and blah, 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 and nobody likes you. And like, it all started happening. In the play, I had to walk around in my underwear, being paraded around with a leash around my neck, like a dog, paraded around the stage. And I had to touch, I don't remember how many there were, but giant paper mache phalluses, like giant paper mache. Talk about symbolic trauma. Like, the thing that scared me the most in my face, I have to do it because I want to get an A++. I want to be the perfect student. I want to make it to Broadway. And at the same time, the chair of the department comes to the costume fitting and makes a comment like, wow, my wife doesn't look like that. And he's like, I have to be here. I have to make sure that you look okay in your outfits. And it's like, it starts there. Okay. It starts the minute I get to college. And then they're casting me in all these sexualized monologues and stuff like that. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And I'm trying to get away from it. And I'm like, hey, I don't want to. Why do I keep ending up in these situations, right? Like, why does this keep happening? Same stuff happened in college. I was constantly in tears. I was drinking way too much. I was having a hard time connecting with friends. Like, I always felt like an outsider. I just wanted to succeed. I managed to bond with the one or two dysfunctional older men who were there to save me, right? And be my friend. So it was like, this was my college experience. So it happened all through college. I get to New York City to become the actress. Boom, it happens again, right? It happens one more time. Actually, more than one more time. But the sort of culminating incident, you know, you talk about, okay, so how did it play out? How did it happen? Well, I get to New York City. I need to support myself because I'm an actress and I'm getting ready to audition and do all this stuff. I become a cocktail waitress and a spokesmodel, which means I am parading around in little outfits kids, hanging around with men who are, mistreating me. I get a job as a cocktail waitress, and my boss basically does the same thing to me that the guy in high school did. So he tells me he's going to take me to dinner. I say yes, because I think, oh, great, yay, he's going to take me to dinner. Well, he doesn't take me to dinner. This time it was worse. I get in his car. I realize we're not going to dinner. We're driving over the Queensboro Bridge, and I'm like, wait a minute. We're leaving Manhattan. Oh, yeah, the restaurant's in Queens. Okay, wait a minute. We're driving down a residential road. Oh, well, the restaurant's closed and you were late, so now we can't have dinner. Okay, then I realize we're going to his house. Then I realize I'm trapped. Then I realize I don't have a way out. And this time it was a full sexual assault, because at that point, I was older and he was older, and this was a man. I don't remember how old he was, but I mean, I would say he was in his late 50s, 60s. He knew what he was doing, and I was trapped in his house and I couldn't get out. And I remember thinking at that point, well, like at this point I'm already here. I may as well just get it over with, because it's like, clearly I can't escape this. I've managed to get out of it before, but this time there's no turning back. And that was probably the most traumatizing night of my life. Yeah, so no, I didn't tell anyone. I remember like very specific details of things, and because I am who I am now and I know sort of how we cope, I remember got up the next morning. First of all, it should be known that night I spent the night in the bathtub hiding, clutching his dog. He had a golden retriever, and I was clutching this dog all night like this, just waiting for morning. Also terrified because I knew morning was going to come and he was going to try and do it again. So all night terrified. Woke up. He asked, and I was like, no. And he's like, oh, you didn't enjoy that, Kate? He called me Kate. And I was like, no, I didn't. So he drove me home. We got back to New York. And I remember him saying, like, you don't tell anybody about this, right? You don't let anybody know. This is between you and me. And I walked home, and I will never forget. It was back in, I don't remember what time it would be exactly, but it was Discman time, right? Had a Discman. And I had that, oh gosh, his name is escaping me right now. But there was a song, and I listened to this song, and the song was about like, this didn't happen to me. This didn't happen to me. This didn't happen to me. And that is the point of the song. And I listened to it over and over as I walked home, and I swear to you, I convinced myself what happened was not a big deal, that it was my fault, that obviously I should have known, known it was coming. I should have known better, all of these different things. And reminding myself, well, listen, you had a choice and you chose to stay there. So this is your fault, right? I live with that. I was 24 or 23 or 24. After that, I ended up leaving the job. I found this boyfriend again, like can't make it up. I got a boyfriend who was actually the Beast on Broadway. Like literally, he was the Beast on Broadway, and he was my Prince Charming, and he was going to save me. So I found this man, told my boss, quit my job. That of course didn't work either. And then, 24, fast forward to 29 years old, still going on, get hit by a taxi. And that's when I'm like, oh my God, I have to deal with this. So what did I hold it for 6 years? But I convinced myself that I just was like, it's not that bad. It wasn't that bad, right? It wasn't that big a deal. Stuff like this happens all the time, right? It wasn't date rape. It wasn't. It was just what he did, right? I totally convinced myself to just, the way I dealt with it, right? Interestingly, I got hit by a taxi. When I got hit by the taxi, I was working as a spokesmodel. So I managed to build up this career as one of the top spokesmodels in New York City. So I was a highly sought after spokesmodel and whiskey ambassador. So I had managed to kind of climb the ranks from the girl in the little outfit with the tray to, nice dresses, business suits, going into, fancy hotels and things like that. But I managed to work myself up. And so I was a whiskey ambassador. I was working for Chivas Regal, and I was going to all these accounts, mind you, drinking. There was one night I counted 12 scotches in one night, 12. Okay, that's like a whole bottle. And I was walking around New York City, just wandering the streets, like, look at me, I'm so cool. I can drink 12 whiskeys and I'm, invincible. And I was dating all these horrible guys. They were like lying. They were married and cheating. I mean, I was doing some really, really bad stuff. I had a run-in with a guy from high school who was getting married. And I remember when I saw him, he said, hey, I'm still going to marry so-and-so. And I said, yeah, I know that. I'm okay with that. And I was like, whoa, what are you doing? First first of all. But that didn't stop. That didn't change me. I didn't stop. Then I got one more boyfriend who was just horrible to me. Another guy from high school. See, high school, kept going back to high school, kept going back to high school guys, right? How many high school guys did I go back to try and solve what had happened when I was a freshman? I want to say 5. I tried 5 different men to resolve this. I didn't realize that until just today saying that. I'm like, wow, look at that pattern. Good one, girl. So I'm dating this guy. He stands me up one night. I am doing my whiskey ambassador job. He doesn't show up. That night I didn't drink because I was so devastated that he didn't show up. I'm walking home that night. I'm feeling so sad and depressed. I think to myself, I wonder what would happen if if I died, would anyone care? I don't think so. I had that thought. I thought that to myself. I saw a taxi coming. I was like, yeah, he probably sees me, but maybe he doesn't. Oh well. I stepped off the curb. Taxi plowed into me, hit me on my left side. I somehow miraculously turned into Wonder Woman. We'll never know how I did this, but rolled on the hood of the car, did a barrel roll in the street, popped up and walked away, right? This guy was going 35 miles an hour. I should have been dead. I should have had broken bones, but I just was like, boop, got up, was like, no big deal. I just got hit by a car, right? I got hit by a car and I'm like, oh, well, it happens. Walk home that night. Okay, walk home that night. And when I went to walk home that night, that was when the wheels started turning, because all of a sudden I'm like, wait a minute. I'm a good person. I'm a a talented person. I'm a smart person. I'm like the most loving human on earth. I'm genuine. I'm kind. I'm good. This type shouldn't be happening to me. I shouldn't be letting people treat me this way. And so that was the beginning of the transformation. And then I went on this whole healing journey. I did the spiritual. I got a spiritual teacher. I did, everything that has taken me from there to where I am today. I'm 44. So it's been a long time of studying and like unraveling all this and looking at patterns. But that was it. I mean, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, right? But when I did that, when I got hit by the taxi and I started doing the healing work, right? That was when it occurred to me. I'm like, whoa. Wait a minute. That thing that happened with James, that's called rape. That's called sexual assault, right? I didn't even know it. I didn't even realize it. And then I went, wait a minute. And that thing that happened was also that. And the light bulb, all the lights came on and I realized, holy girl, you went through stuff and you convinced yourself that it didn't matter, right? It mattered. It affected you. It hurt you. You're a good person. You have to stop that. You have to do something about it. Can't let that happen anymore, right? Don't let people treat you like a meaningless piece of because you're not one. I am worthy now. I mean, I've been working at this for 15 years and I am still learning how deep the trauma runs, right? How much it hurt me and how the longer I let it affect me, the more I convinced myself. And I think every time I do an interview, every time I talk about it, I learn something new about myself. I didn't realize until today that the reason why I kept trying to date other men from my high school was because I was trying to fix what happened that started all of it, right? Because if I could get someone from high school to love me, then that would be okay, right? Somehow I could complete the cycle. And it's so fascinating because I think at some point we have to realize, and this is what I'm learning, is we have to realize that we have to complete the cycle for ourselves, right? We have to give ourselves the resolution. I have to love myself enough to let that go, to just let it go. It's done, over. Yeah. So after all of this, what I ended up doing was because I've spent the last 15 years inside my own experience, sort of unraveling this for myself. And I tried all different kinds of things, right? I tried all these different healing modalities, therapies. I realized that I was going to have to sort of come up with a solution because nobody could actually get inside the problem with me. People would from the outside say, it sounds like you should be over that by now, or there were all of these sort of people giving me advice, giving me guidance, but no one was actually willing to get inside the experience with me and say, hey, where does it hurt, right? How does it affecting you? Where's it living in your body? And what can you do to get yourself out of that? So I ended up building my own method. It's called the Shakti Bomb method. It's a transformational system and it's all about somatics. It's about getting in your body and giving you permission to feel what you're feeling so that you can let it go and so that you can actually release yourself from the patterns and then use your creative skills, right? Our mindset, our imagination, our emotions to actually rewire the nervous system and create the transformation and healing that we need so we can move on. And I've been doing this for 15 years. I mean, ever since I learned that this was possible, I've been working with people and I've been working hard on myself and with individuals, sort of testing and seeing what do we need? How's it affecting you? How is it that we have all of these solutions out there, but we're still suffering? I was still suffering. None of that stuff actually helped me. And what I found is that the beauty of working with someone who's really comfortable with being inside the feelings with you is that it gives you a chance to really experience what it is. I've built the platform that I stand on who I was. So she's not gone. She's in the she's in the soil. It's like the old me has given me the nutrition to grow into who I am. So you don't have to do anything except accept yourself and then grow from who you are. Growth.